Afternoon. This is Demon Phil here, and do not adjust your screens. I know I am not here on my regular time. This was another show that I was doing that was Comic Legion. That this is the final show for this particular time frame. Things are changing within the DemoNation, and for the better. Actually, I'm going to tell you that right now. So, in this being my last show for the Comic Legion, I decided to do a special edition, hell of a show, with my guest that I already had scheduled on here. So it is not preferential treatment, so nobody think that. I already had him scheduled. We're going to finish this out, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give him the full hour to go ahead and come up here, and we're going to do a full interview like I normally do on the Hell of a Show. So if you can let me know, you can see and hear me on here, and let's get this thing shared out, and I will bring him out here very shortly. But I appreciate everyone for being here right now with this. Like I said, this is kind of unorthodox for me to be on here like this time. Normally, I'm on the evenings. I enjoy it that way, actually better. But I am working on another deal that I'm actually working on as well, where it looks like possibly Mondays I will be having another show, and I'll let you know what that is and how that comes about in the very near future. So we've got a few people in here right now. Thank you for being here, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to go ahead and get this set up. And Lisa gives me the all clear on there, loud and clear. Thank you very much for being here, Lisa. All right. So let me go ahead and make this official. So this is a special edition, hell of a show. So I'm not going to go through the full rigmarole that I normally do with everything on there because it's not a regular scheduled event. So I don't have to go through all that. That being said, though, I do want to go ahead and say that I want to go ahead and thank my sponsors anyway, because I do have sponsors. And I just want to go through a quick rundown there. Totally Rad Comics, Codex Entertainment, 183 Degree Studio, Naughty Fairies. We've got Third Empire, and of course, Nine Realms Publishing, which has got Elysian Fields Pyramid Gambit live on Indiegogo right now. Please, please, please go check that out. It is an amazing and epic event going on right now that you don't want to miss. Now, speaking of amazing, epic, and Indiegogo, we're going to go ahead and bring out my guest right now because he has got one that's going on that we're going to get to know a lot better. So here is Luke Stone.
What's up, man? Hey, thanks for having me on today.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it's good. It's a nice day out. Beautiful weather here in northern Florida, and can't complain about that, right? And a great day to talk comics and hang out with my buddy Phil. Yeah.
Well, I mean, today happens to be National Comic Book Day, so it's kind of a great day for you to talk about it now.
Wouldn't you know it, right?
It doesn't happen to fall that way. We never plan these things. So before we get too started in this and everything, because there may be some people here who don't know who you are, I want to give you just a moment to say who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
Sure. In case somehow you have missed all of my shameless self-promotion over the course of the last couple of years, my name is Luke Stone. I am a writer and an artist. I draw this book called Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, and I write that one. I draw a book called Voodoo Nations. I'm working on a couple of other smaller IPs that I'm going to be trying to get out here soon in some smaller anthologies. I also am the editor-in-chief at a little company called Terraform Comics. And so we're doing some stuff with Terraform Comics, trying to change the landscape of comics, doing some some different stuff and trying out some new things. And so hopefully we'll have great news with that stuff coming up soon too. But if you haven't found me and you do want to find out more about me, my personal life and all that kind of stuff, I'm kind of an open book. I'm not afraid to share all those things. Feel free to go by my website. It's LukeStoneStudios.com. Again, that's Luke Stone Studios with an S on the end. .com. You can find links to all my social media, a little bit of bio stuff. I do photography and stuff too, so that's over on that website. So yeah, feel free to go over there. It's kind of a one-stop shop. It'll link you to everything that's really pertinent that you might want. So
very cool. Now, the first thing I want to ask and getting into all this is, how did you get your start? What was your origin story into getting into comics?
Oh, man, Phil, I love comics, and I've loved them since I was a little kid. So my mom and dad, they actually used to go out to this little diner called the Breakfast House, and they would hang out with their friends, and they would do it all hours of the night, to be honest with you. 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, they'd still be out, and they had a 3-year-old. at the time. So, and that 3-year-old just was happening to develop ADHD. So it turns out that the thing that really helped me self-occupy was drawing. So my mom would hand me some pen and some paper and stuff like that. And I would just draw for hours and hours and hours. And first it was scribbles, and then it turned into, stick figures, and then stick figures started getting put clothes on them and stuff like that. And then it started to get some meat on it, on the bones, so to speak. And so I got into that, for a couple of years. That was the early parts of my life. And then I was introduced to this thing called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe around when I was 5 years old. I used to get up religiously in the morning, like 4:30, so I could watch it when it came on one of the channels. And so I would watch that, and my dad would laugh about that and stuff. And so, a few years later, my dad brought home some comic books that he got from a buddy at work. And in one of those comic books was the wonderful, wonderful cover of issue 4 from the Secret Wars that Mike Zeck did back in the 80s. And I fell in love with that cover. I saw that right away, and it just really spoke to me. I opened that book up. I read it over and over and over again, got to the point where I would lay over my paper and try to trace the pictures so that I would learn how to draw it, trying to do the muscle memory. Then I would just look at the picture and draw it. And then I would try to draw the panels from memory. And so that's what got me in. I always wanted to do comics. Then I found a local comic shop, found out about the X-Men, found out about Swamp Thing, doing all these things, and just absolutely fell in love with comics. And it just became so far now, a lifelong obsession. So, yeah.
Very cool. And it's actually, you can see a lot of the passion that you would have from, and a lot of the, like you mentioned about He-Man and stuff, you can kind of see that in the work that you do on there. So my next question would be, what kind of inspiration is behind actual hybrids?
There's a few different pieces of inspiration. First off, it's just good old-fashioned 90s team comics. I love things like the Avengers. I love, the Secret Wars where there's teams working together. Love the X-Men. Was always a big fan. I liked that ensemble type stuff. And so that's a big inspiration. I like to have fun when I draw. You got to witness a little bit. I do sound effects and stuff in my head. I start talking about, as I'm laying out a page, I'm like, ooh, and then this can happen and that, and so I deviate sometimes from my script just to have fun, and, but so there's a lot of that inspiration, but what really came into the story behind hybrids was, it's probably been about 10 years now, Phil, that I used to have this conversation with a pastor friend of mine. I was he was my mentor. I was his mentee. He was kind of teaching me showing me the ropes with youth ministry and stuff at the time. And after your youth group, we would often sit down and have conversations, just odd things in the Bible, things like, sometimes it was very theological. Sometimes it was, very much on point of what we should be talking about, just kind of breaking those things down a little bit. And every once in a while, we would bring up some of those odd things that, that in one version of the Bible, it says that there's a unicorn, and then you start talking about the behemoth and Job and these ideas that, these sound like dragon type characters. And this is kind of weird. So where did these things come from? Where do the hieroglyphics come from? Why are pyramids all over the place? Why is there similar technology? All of those kind of things. And one of the verses that we would talk about is Genesis chapter 6, where it talks about the sons of God or angels coming down, seeing the daughters of men, liking what they see, and one thing leads to another, and now you have health class, right? And so they create this character called the Nephilim, and we started talking about those creatures because it was that was really intriguing, because what really intrigued us the most about that, it wasn't just the Bible that talked about it, but there were several other major religions that talks about it too. And then it turns out that some of the stories that you can find about them are very similar to some of the Greek god stories. It's almost like, oh, I wonder if this was inspired by that. Well, it turns out that those stories actually predate the Greek gods by about 1,500 years, Phil. And so it turns out that the Greek god stories were actually inspired by the Nephilim stories. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of got this idea, and we were talking. He was like, Luke, I know you love comic books. You like to make comic books. You should make a comic book about this. And so the obsession of trying to really build a world and research all of this stuff and draw these weird lines between ancient aliens and pyramids and Atlantis and Greek mythology and Norse mythology and the Nephilim and all those kind of things just became a kind of a pastime for me. And it developed into a book and why, kind of why characters have powers, but even more than that, kind of like this big overarching. The thing, Phil, for me is if a character, if a book doesn't have a good antagonist and the antagonist doesn't have a good motivation, then it's pointless. Exactly. And so we start to reveal especially in this next arc, the real motivation for our main antagonist.
Because I read, I actually own 1 through 5 and am very happy with the floppies on that. And I'm about to get the trade, and we're about to talk about that here very shortly because we're going to get into the actual campaign and all. But as far as the story is concerned, it was one that I went into going, okay, I'm going to do this unbiased, look into it, see what I can come up with on it and everything. It was a page turner for one thing. It kept me going. I was like, okay, I got more. I'm already up to book 5. This is terrible. I'm already done. Why is this done? it gets you so engrossed in everything that's going in there. The storyline itself, it draws you in. The artwork is incredibly fluid. Everything that's done in there is actually makes it where you want to flip those pages and get through it almost as fast as you can to try to figure out what's going on, and then go back and say, okay, let me do this a little bit slower so I can catch up on things now. And it's still an amazing story.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Approve it. I would say right now it's got the Demon Seal of Approval on there, and then you've got the trade paperback, which has actually got more than the floppies do.
Yeah. So if you've already got the floppies like you do, I'm giving you extra content with the trade. I'm almost teasing people. It's like, I've got to get more of your money. I actually had somebody's like, oh, you're just taking my money all the time. I'm like, I'm sorry. But I do try to make things that are interesting and intriguing, and I'm really happy that you like the flow of it. So the thing is, I actually started the books about 4.5 years ago, and so I wasn't as good at it as I am now with the art and the storytelling and the pacing and stuff. So you might notice that issue 1 is a little clunkier than issue 2, and then but you get to see that growth and progression of me as a creator kind of through all of those books. But yeah, I'm kind of biased to it. I'm like, yeah, I've had a few little pieces of critique where people was like, I just don't feel like that I wanted to see this thing happen at the end. I'm like, oh, don't worry, it's coming in the next arc.
Yeah. And no spoilers, because I don't do that on my shows and what you about there. But I'm going to tell you right now, I want to see the thing too. I'm right there as well, because it does build you up to that point where you're like, we're going to get closure. No, we're not.
No, you're not. And I will warn you and everyone else that the real closure that you're looking for is going to come at the end of arc 3. So it's about 8, 9 books away. Because this next arc is only 4 issues, but they're thicker issues. They're longer. So I did like the first 5 issues. The first 4 of them were 20 pages each of actual content. And then it was 24 for the 5th issue. Well, all the issues are going to be between 24 and 26 pages on this arc. So we're going to get around the same amount of story, but you're going to get it in get it faster. You're going to get over 4 issues instead of 3. And so, but what I did for this new volume is we included a backstory to one of the characters, and this was an exclusive book that you could get with the last campaign. And so I don't know if you got the exclusive Serafina book or not. Some people didn't, some people did. I think everybody got the PDF to that, but I know sometimes I don't read the PDFs that I get. But what we're doing is we're putting that into the trade paperback. But then we also have this other special volume that we're doing. It's 4 pages. Technically 5, of a story that was supposed to come out in another kind of anthology, but it's a hybrid story, and it's basically an end credit scene to this story, which sets us up for the next arc. So you learn in this that there's the protagonist have more to deal with than what was originally anticipated. So we start to really open up the idea that there's a lot more going on here than what we have already discovered as the reader. There's more issues that are at hand, and it's layered and it's multifaceted. And what really is the true motivation behind all of this stuff that's happening? And that's what we start to deal with, and we start to open those things up. And And so we have 4 pages that's exclusive. It never came out on that publication, so now it's exclusive to the trade paperback, and that's really cool. So I think that's pretty awesome that we're going to have that in there. So not only do you get the original 5 books, plus you get a bunch of pages of extra content that has commentary stuff. I show you original art from back when I was working on this in 2005, and give you some of those things. And so actually, I guess it was more than 10 years ago. At this point, it's been like 15 when I first started sketching these things out. It's hard to believe it's been so long. But yeah, so I show you some original sketches for some idea that I had and how that all kind of came together to kind of become hybrids. I show you some of the research that I did and some of the links and all of those things. I just pull up all of those kind of things, that stuff you can't share in a normal volume of a comic. I'm putting in the trade paperback. So I'll continue to do that even for this next arc. Once we go to the trade paperback, we'll throw those extra things in there for everyone. And even better, Phil, here's the thing. If we can get to our stretch goal, we're going to add 12 more pages. That is a bunch of 2-page stories from guest writers and artists and stuff. And so, these are fantastic, and you're going to like get them. They're just really cool. So yeah, so we're really packing that trade with a whole lot of really cool stuff.
And I am definitely excited about that, because the story itself, and then you're going to add in where you're giving some other people a shot getting their stuff out there and putting it in there, because one of those people is actually Meredith Lochran. Is going to be her first published work in a comic.
Yes, and it is so good. And I think I'm sharing my screen currently. Let me. I'm going to pull up another picture.
Okay.
And I want to show what we've got here. I'm glad you mentioned it. It completely slipped my mind to pull this up and have this and to show this. But so yeah, Meredith has written her first. This will be first published comic thing. She's an amazing writer. Have no doubts about that. I had no idea how good of a writer she really was, because I hadn't really read too much of her stuff. I have ADHD, and I'm busy, so sometimes it's hard for me to rip into a book, or to rip into a series of books or whatever. But what happened was, she's like, "Hey, I've got this script, and it's a 2-page story that kind of goes off of this last scene." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's really cool." So I read it, and it was amazing. It gave me goose pimples. It frightened me. And I'm like, wow, you're good at that. But you're good at that stuff. And here, I got to show you this. Hold on. That's not the right one. Look at me clunking around over here like a clod. And where are you? There it is. Here it is. So here is one of the pages of the 2 pages that we have for the story that Meredith wrote. And I'm going to just zoom in on that so you can get a better view of it. And so a beautiful page that turned out. She wrote it. I had Brian Dawson do the layout for me on this one. And then I did the pencils and inks. And so I just think it turned out just absolutely stunning. The second page is good. I can't show it because it gives away too much story. Right. You can, if you really can follow this quickly, you can probably tell what's going on here because it's so well done on how it's written and what's happening in the story. So, but yeah, so that's one of the pages. I've got a few others that we had come in and just really good stuff. So you definitely want to get a hold of that, because it's not just this one. I've got Brian K. Morris is providing a story that he wrote, and Brian Hawkins is drawing it. Brian Hawkins is actually drawing another story, one that I wrote in there. I have Todd Oltmans who did a story, and Nicholas Mueller did the illustration for it. It's kind of an origin for Bone, one of the characters. And then I also have he wrote one that I'm drawing at the moment. which is another kind of leaning for that. Bone seems to be one of people's favorite characters, and so Bone features is featured in that one again. And then I've got Raj Mahan and Jim O'Reilly that are doing a story as well. So very cool, kind of neat stuff that's happening. And all of those stories are almost done. Like they're almost ready to go. So by the time we get to the end of this, we'll be able to send it to print. So
very cool. Now I know you had another thing that you had ready to go, where you're going to show some of the artwork from the trade itself. If you want to bring that up, and then we're going to talk about the creative team that you've got that are working with you on this, because you've got some powerhouses on this too.
I do, yeah. So we're working with a lot of really cool people. When you pop this up, I'll just kind of show you what we got happening. The first thing I'm going to show is this exclusive cover.
There we go.
Yeah. So the first thing you get to see here is this exclusive cover that is the special exclusive Indiegogo cover by Kanan White. I don't know if you know who Kanan White is or not, but if you don't, you definitely need to check out his work. He's absolutely phenomenal. I got into doing work with digital art, drawn on a tablet and things like that, when I saw videos of him doing it a number of years ago. I'd watch him on Facebook. He would do little Facebook videos. And this was kind of when not a lot of people were doing like Facebook Live. They would record a video and post it. Sometimes they would do a live, but it was just like these little videos he did of him, doing some warm-ups. And I always thought it was just fantastic, the work he did. So I kind of got into trying it myself. And so my growth really took place when I started working digital. So thanks, Kanan, for inspiring me to pick up a stylus, even as much as I still love drawing with pencils. But that was really cool. So this cover is exclusive to the Indiegogo. When we do, and I will say when we launch on Kickstarter, it will be for a very short time, probably 10 to 15 days, maybe 20, that we'll run a Kickstarter for. As soon as we hit the last, I think we got like $400 and some to go to get to the 5K goal over on Indiegogo. As soon as we hit that, we'll open up the Kickstarter, and we'll have some original art over there that people can get. But this cover will only ever be available through the Indiegogo, unless somebody decides they want to buy the publishing rights for hybrids from me and give me a whole lot of money, and then I can be persuaded. But that is a different story altogether. Phil, we all have a price. Just gonna say that, right? We all have a price.
Pretty much, yeah.
But this is the exclusive. That's the exclusive cover. Here is one of the interior pages from issue 5, one of my favorite pages. And so this is kind of towards the end of like this big rescue scene that we see in issue 5. It gets kind of the team's first big win, if you will, and this kind of sets up kind of where they are mentally for the next arc. This does. Here is a fun image, and this is part of the series, part of the story that is added in as the backup story, as the end credit scene. So you get to see this truck, and then obviously we have our heroes. Now they are looking at this truck from a hilltop, and the rest of this story I can't show because it'll obviously spoilers, but it shows basically the kind of the next level of tension that these guys are going to have to deal with in the next arc. So that's some of the art from there. Now my creative team, I work with a fantastic creative team on most of this book. So let me get to here. I'll share this page. I'll pop this out for a second, and then it didn't open them all up at once in the same thing. So I'll share this other one.
Okay.
Here we go. So we get back to that page. Here's another page from the kind of the end of the story, the end of Hybrids, the first arc. And so that's another shot, another page that I really like. You kind of see this team really working and fighting and kind of busting some skull and stuff here, which is really kind of cool. We always like those action scenes, don't we? I've been working with a great team on this. So it started out, I've had the same colors from the beginning. A guy named Patrick Gamma, so he does all the colors on these, and he's been working with me since issue 1. Issue 2, I brought on a layout artist to help me speed things up because I was working on a couple different books at the time. And so a guy named Antonio Alvarez did the layouts for issues 2, 3, and half of 4. And I did the layouts for the other half. I was able to take care of those. And then on issue 5, we brought in a new layout artist. His name was Brian Dawson. And so Brian Dawson did the layouts for issue 5 and for the Serafina book and for the end credit scene, the post credit scene. So he did the layouts for those. And then I did the pencils and inks on all of those. And then I did lettering for most of it. And then we brought in a letterer we brought back Nikki Sherman on letters. So they've done pretty good. She does an amazing job with the books as well. And so she'll probably take over lettering services from now on, because I'm going to be way too busy drawing, because I'm now, I've now decided I've gotten in my head to where I'm like, I don't want to work with a layout artist. I'll just work faster and I'll hire out the other stuff that I don't want to do. So, so I've kind of gotten that in my head now. So, but yeah, that's my creative team. That's some of the art pages that we've got going. And
very nice.
I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out.
Oh, it is. I mean, and like I said, I've seen from the floppy side of it, I've seen the storyline and everything. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the trade that you said, that you can't show the other pages and everything. So that's really got me interested. Plus, I'm a so I have to have it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So as far as we've talked about, the goal on there about, whenever we get to $8,000, then you'll be able to go ahead and add in the extra pages in there from the other writers that are in this and everything. Mm-hmm. So in getting to that goal, what I want to go ahead and bring up now is Meredith Loughran and Matthew, I just went blank on his last name, with Geek Insider.
Yeah.
They have set up a thing on here where they actually have a promo to go ahead and help get this thing out here. So I'm going to do a share screen on my end. And we're going to show this off. So this is the brand new promo that was, I think this was just done today, if I'm not mistaken.
Today, yeah. It came out today.
And so they're doing with the wireless chargers here that you can get with the promo setup that you've got going, which is a not so secret link, because that's a different tier than was available whenever you first started with this, correct?
Yeah, and it's special. So yeah, Meredith said, "Hey, Geek Insider has this this item to give away,
Mm-hmm.
But we've only got one of them, and so what we'd like to do is help bring some traffic to the Indiegogo and help people get a hold of the book, but also give them a chance to win this, a contest to win this particular charger." So yeah, this is a really cool charger. It retails for like $150, and she's got some details about what it is. It's some really neat tech stuff. So if you're into tech stuff, you're going to love it. So what we've done, what I did is I put together a perk that you can only get the link through. Well, it's not the only place you can get it, but the link is floating around. I think we're going to share the link. It's going to go as many places as we can get it. We have 30 entries to do this. So I only opened it up for 30. Basically what you do is you get the Canaan white cover, you get the bookmark, you get the bracelet, you get a phone grip. That white thing is a phone grip. Mm-hmm. So I've only got a limited number of those left. And so you get the Hybrids phone grip, and you get free US shipping. So if you're in the United States, you don't have to pay for shipping on this. And when you do that and you sign and you share the campaign, or what, I think they've got a bunch of rules for it, because they want you to share the campaign. They want you to join, I think, their mailing list, or at least like them on Facebook and things like that, because they're trying to grow their network as well by doing this. Right. And they're trying to help us out by doing it. And I think it's just amazing that they will partner with independent creators like this. But basically, when you do that, you're going to get all this stuff at a really great value anyway. So it's you get all these things, and so it turns out to be like a 55. I think. So the book is 40. The bookmark comes with the book, but it's 10, and so you're looking at like a $55 value plus free shipping.
Right.
Plus free shipping. So You get all that and a chance to win this phone charger, which is not phone charger, but this charging block thing, which is really cool. I kind of want it.
We're going to click on over here to the actual Indiegogo.
Yep.
So this will show you what we've got here. So you're very close to getting that $5,000 goal.
So close. And as soon as I hit it, I'm going live on Kickstarter. So yeah, we are at what is it, 45 something?
45.27.
45.27. Okay, so we have gotten a new backer then. No. That's where we should be. 45.27. So yeah, what is that? 406 for 73. Yeah. So that's like, honestly, that's like 10 people signing up for to win the contest. That's not a lot. That's just a small number of people. But yeah, as soon as we get there, as soon as we hit that, we're going to open up on Kickstarter and allow allow that to be ran over there until the end of this campaign. So this ends in 22 days. Right. And so we expect that 90% funded. But what we got to do is the reason why we're going to open up on 2 different platforms at once is because once we get this one funded, then that one will go to in demand at the end of the process. But we want to hit $8,000. If we can hit the $8,000 mark, that adds the extra pages, because that will give us enough funds to be able to do what we need to do to cover the extra print run for it. So that's why we need the extra money, and then the extra money will give us those extra pages. So that means your book will go from 128 pages to 140 pages. And so that's what we're going to open up on both platforms, because we understand that there's an audience on both, and there's some people will go one or the other. Some people will slide between the both of them, but some people are one or the other. And so we want to make sure that we're giving everyone the opportunity to be able to back it the way they want to back it. And those are the 2 most popular platforms. We're going to use both of those. And then once it's over, it will be in demand. And then obviously we'll be selling from conventions in our website. And there's going to be some distribution through Liberty Distribution and things like that with it as well. But you're only going to be able to get that Cane and White cover through the Indiegogo. So, and then once it's printed, it's going to be shut off for there's only going to be a limited number left. So we're going to print what we need. And with like maybe 10 or 15% more than what we need, and then that'll be it.
Very nice. Now, one thing I want to go ahead and showcase on here real fast is this right here, because that means the world to somebody who is like me, who backs these things and looks for this kind of thing. Work for the 128 pages is complete and ready to be printed. That is huge. That means I don't have to wait until December of next year to get this thing.
No, we have a promised delivery of December of this year, but the plan is that the printer will have the files in hand probably within 2 weeks, because we got 22 days left. In about 14 days, I'll send all the files over to the printer. He'll get all of that set up and ready to go. And as soon as it funds, as soon as it comes in and we know what our totals are going to be, we'll calculate our totals the day or so before, or the day of, and then we will tell him how many to print off, and then he will get the print run started. And so once those come in, we do have a couple of floppies that have special covers that are additional to this. So if you are a fan of floppies and you have the originals and you want to collect more, you have the opportunity to be able to collect more as well. So we have a connected cover that Brian Dawson did, where all 5 pictures make a big panoramic picture. And then we're doing, I'm actually waiting for some artwork to come back, and I'm getting ready. I've got a couple more to draw, but we're going to get these done. I've got a couple commissions coming up, but we'll have all the art done and ready to go to the printer for the first 5 issues. For also the, we're doing homage covers. And one of the homage covers that we're doing is that issue 4 cover from the Secret Wars. So obviously that had to make it on the list. So
nice.
So you can also get the floppies in with the homage covers, these throwback covers. So we'll have a different, each book has a different logo and everything. So it matches kind of the old school logo that was on that book. It's fun. It's neat. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And so we're doing that. We're also offering that as posters. And so, but everything will go to print as soon as that clicker clicks down, and then everyone will have the files prior to the date, and then we will print on that day. So that includes the 2-page backup stories.
And you can see as I'm scrolling through here, there's a lot of stuff that's available on here in all different kinds of tier packages. So whatever you think might be something you want to look into getting. If you don't collect trade paperbacks, but you actually like the storyline that we're talking about on here, there are the floppies that are on there. But keep in mind, the trade paperback does have extra storyline in there, which will go into the next story arc. So that's kind of a big connecting factor on there.
Yeah. Also, I talked earlier about how I'm a digital artist, and I am. That's what I typically work with. But every once in a while, I will do my layout on the computer. I'll kind of rough what I'm going to do. And you saw some of those earlier. I mean, if you want, I can share the screen and we can actually show them again.
Absolutely.
I'm more than happy to show people my process for issue 6. I'm actually working on issue 6 right now. And so here we go. So in many cases, what I do is I will do something like what I did here. So I'm working on a layout here, or let's show this one. Working on a layout here, and kind of putting the panels where, the characters everywhere where I want them to be. And so I will do something rough like this. And then what I'll do is I will blue line all of that stuff, make it all blue lines, and turn it down really low so it's photo, non-photo blue. And then I will send that to my printer, and he will print off on Bristol board 11 by 17 that page for me. And then I will hand pencil the page. And I've done that on this campaign. So if you go back to the other one, you'll be able to see that I've taken for 2 or 3 pages, 3 pages actually is what I have, but only 2 of them are listed up there. I've taken the layout version of the page and I have printed it and hand drawn it. So you have the opportunity to actually get a hand penciled page. The inks are done digitally. I still do all the inks digital, but the pencil for 3 pages, I was like, okay, this is a good page. It's a pivotal page. Let's do this one on pencil. And so you can actually get original art available in there. And the cool thing about that is you still get the book with it. So for 140, 135, you still get the book, but you get your choice of cover. So you can get either cover A, B, or C. And you get those extras. Plus there's add-ons if you want to add on any of the other, anything that we offer on this campaign all has add-ons. So you can get anything that you want at all. So, but while I have this up, I will share. So I'm currently working on issue 6. And so even as you get this, in January, we're going to start releasing these issues. And so the art will be done for issue 6, probably a couple weeks. I'll be done in a couple weeks with it.
Nice.
Because I'm coming along with it. And so it'll get sent off to the colorist. But we've already started getting inks done. So it's not just in layout stage. We actually have some inks here. And so this is kind of a sneak peek at the first page. This is what you'll open up with 6 months later, 6 months after the end of issue 5 and a few months after some of the extra content that's in there. You are introduced to this some of the characters' hairs have changed. Hairstyles have changed because it's been some time. And I wonder what kind of store they're in right now. What kind of store could this be? I don't know, Phil.
There's no telling, but you got me hooked on this thing, so I'm going to end up having to get it. I know that.
Yeah. And again, you can see my art style has ever more evolved and I've grown.
Oh, yes.
So from issue 1 to issue 6, it's a lot of difference, but it's a little closer from issue 5 to issue 6. It turns out the more I draw, the better I get. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So that's that page, and here's a little bit of action that's going on in one of the early pages of hybrids. This is a panel that I was particularly happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail on what's going on with it, but it doesn't carry over so much that it's too much to pay attention to what's going on.
Yep. It's going to look really cool once it's in color because it's going to separate some of those lines a little bit better. And there's a lot of like special effects and stuff that's happening here. So it will give us a pretty fun, kind of a pretty fun look at things. We've got our friend Link is back. And then see a whole lot of stuff going on over here. And then we have this really cool splash page that I'm happy with. And I guess that's what's most important, right? That I'm happy with it. Yeah. And we've got Bone showing off a little bit of a new costume. What's that?
I wouldn't think you'd put your seal of approval and be happy with it if it wasn't done.
Right, yeah. And so, yeah, we've also got a little bit of a new costume here from our friend Bone. So he's going to have a little different look in this series. So he's growing up a little bit. It's a little bit of his, changing kind of who he is. So he's having a little character development.
Now, we kind of mentioned earlier about Terraform Comics, because this is actually under the Terraform label with the trade. Is that correct?
Yes.
And moving forward, that's going to be the normal for hybrids is going to be under this label as well.
It should be, yeah, it should be. It all goes down because we work off just because I'm one of the owners and I on the team. It all goes off committee. So we are. As long as hybrid continues to make the cut or stays within the business model that we want to work with, it'll be there. There could be an opportunity that it would go under other labels, but just like anybody else's work. But right now for the foreseeable future, it is a Terraform Comics book. So yeah, I always like to say that because we, I don't like anything to just be a given. For any of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted you to explain, because I don't want people thinking that it's just because, since you're a part owner, that it's just an automatic thing that's just thrown in there, because I already knew the answer, but I wanted everyone else to know that straight from you as well.
Yeah. It's not an automatic. And, and I mean, part of what we do part of our function if we sign a book with Terraform, if our goal is to get that book to the next level, and sometimes getting a book to the next level is shopping it out for people, and finding, other avenues that might be really good for it, whether even if it's like, looking for TV deals and things like that, we do that for people. But even if it means, helping them get into another publisher, we're not crazy. Like, it's gotta be us or nothing. Our whole goal is to elevate the entire community and to level people up, And so we want to be known as an art studio that can do that as a publisher. So we function as a studio and a publisher kind of at the same time. And so we do both of those things. We're actually getting ready. I was talking with a creator today who's going to do an 8-page story for us. It's going to go in one of our smaller 3x3 anthologies. And he does a book right now. And if I said his book, you'd probably recognize both of those. But we're going to work on his book as kind of the process. Like, if you were able to work with a creative team and have a studio behind you, how would you do this book? Because right now he's an independent creator, does most of the stuff himself. So he's writing the book. We're going to work with editors and get the editors on it. We're going to work with pencilers, inkers, colorists, and letterers to get it all done and make this thing just really, really cool. So we're working with that with 8 pages so that it's not like a big commitment. It's easy to do, easy to publish, and we're going to put it in a book with other stories that we do similar things with. So it's going to be really cool to do that. And I'm really excited about that aspect of what Terraform Comics is going to do, because it's in a little bit, like, it's kind of the idea of our whole slogan is changing the landscape of comics. And part of changing the landscape is bringing new people, new creators in and helping them level up. And so exactly. That is one thing we're very excited about. So, but yeah, like I said, everything's off committee.
Wanted to bring up, because on the Indiegogo page for hybrids, it actually has a thing on here that says Terraform Comics founders have successfully funded and fulfilled more than 25 campaigns.
That is correct.
That is big. That's something that we want to see as backers and as people who actually want to get into this, is how successful have you been? How, are you a fly-by-night corporation? Is this going to be something that I'm going to see today and then I'll never hear from you, in 30 days, or what's going on? This gives that level of trust that you want to put out there to the backers, saying, we've been here, we're sticking around, and we're just getting better.
Yeah, I hope that that's what it does, and that's kind of why we put that on there. We wanted, because right now there's this big problem within the crowdfunding, especially with comic books, where people will back something and they never get their book.
Right.
I heard somebody say they backed like 5 Indiegogos and they've never gotten a single one of them. Well, I'm running this on Indiegogo as my primary launch, and it's like I don't want people to think that they're going to back this and not get it. That's why we're saying the work is done. It's ready to go to print. You're definitely going to get this book. It's going to deliver no later than December of 2020. My goal personally is to get it out earlier. I want to make people happier. I'd love to surprise them for Thanksgiving if I possibly can. There's no way I can do, when we extended it to the other 60 days, there's no way that I can make it by Halloween, but it would be awesome if I could make it happen by Thanksgiving. But you're at least by December, you're going to be getting these books in hand. Can't wait to get into them. But not only that, I want to show that, hey, the work is finished, but we have a reputation of producing books on time and fulfilling to every person that asks for the book, that has paid for it. So, and that's not just me that's doing. I mean, this is coming out under Terraform Comics, so we have the Terraform Comics reputation to uphold, and we want people to know that, hey, you're going to get this book. It's definitely going to happen for you. And I've funded and fulfilled, what was it, 13 or 14 of them myself, or been a part of them that have funded and fulfilled. So, yeah.
Yeah, there have been some great titles coming out from the people that are connected with this, and I think I've gotten quite a few of them myself, actually, because it's good quality stuff that you've got out there that is available. And it's one of those things that if you don't like this genre, we've got this genre for you. There are breaking points on there. It's not that you have to like this one thing and that's the only thing that you carry. You actually kind of keep it more diverse in there than most people do.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. We've got, and even really more so, it's the stuff that it's not just the stuff that we brought in to Terraform that had already existed on other labels or independently, which this is one that we brought in. Cat Dad and Supermon's one that we brought in. Dreaded Dinosaurs ones that we're bringing in. But we want to create new IPs through this, like, that have not existed anywhere else, but this is the first time that they've existed. So, and when we do that, we want to be very eclectic in what we do. Like, I'm working on one that's called Rom Zomcom. So it's a romantic zombie comedy. I'm working on that. We're also working on just a number of different things. I've got a kind of an alternate, like, future dystopian story that I'm working on that's going into that. And then Rob Anderson and I are working on the concept is really cool. It's superheroes that have to look over a town, but they're exes. So they met on the job, they dated on the job, and they broke up on the job. So, but yeah, so they still have to work together. And so it's really kind of a cool concept. The characters are neat. The story is a good story. And so we're looking forward to producing that book as well. So we'll be taking these stories, hopefully in this new format too, that we have not done before and no one else has really done. We've seen little bits of these anthologies before, but there's a Shonen Run, or Shogun Run, is kind of is a Japanese comic, and they do things a little differently in Japan. They do anthology books that have 6 to 8 pages of a story that will continue from, you get more of the story. They're kind of self-contained a little bit, but they do move when you get that issue, the next issue, it does progress that storyline. But it allows for more people to get more content all at once, to kind of a tapas version of comics a little bit. But it also allows for the creative teams to be able to produce work faster and at higher quality with less cost to self, with those kind of things. So we're working on a model that will do that, and we're going to start releasing those in 2021. And so that's part of our goal and our anticipation. You will be hearing some big moves from what we're doing and some of the creators that we're doing probably within the next week or two. And so you'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. But all the news that you hear is going to be great news for the creators, great news for us, great news for indie comics. And so we're really excited about all of that stuff moving forward. And we can't wait to start bringing out some of these new original ideas in this 3x3 format. So it's going to be really, really cool.
Very cool. So it looks like 2021 is going to be huge for you because, I mean, we're not going to call 2020 on this one, but 2021 can be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think well, claim 2020.
2020 really hasn't been that bad when you think in terms of, people reading comics. People still want to read comics, so I think it's been good for people looking outside of their typical the typical 2 or 3 shelves that they shop from at a comic shop. And so it's giving them more opportunity. We've been able to, I've been able to work on this book called DemoNation. It's in several stores now. And that book has done very well with people. Even those that have checked out the PDF and stuff, the response has been tremendous for that book. Travis did a great job writing it. I worked hard on the art. The entire team worked hard. Jerome on the letters, Alan on the colors, Brian on the layouts. I mean, it really turned out really, really well. And so we're ready to start looking into issue 2 and getting that one going for everybody. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, so 2020 has been pretty good, but 2021 is going to be spectacular.
Yes.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic because you're going to get hybrids. You're going to get the rest of Voodoo Nations. You're going to get the 3x3s. You're going to get more Cat Dad and Supermom out there. You're going to get just all kinds of. You're going to get stuff from Meredith Logren. You're going to get stuff from just a lot of people are creating a lot of really good stuff out there. Some of that stuff will have the Terraform name on it. Some of it, obviously there's a lot of good creators out there. Some of it, they're not part of Terraform, but they're still good books that you need to support and get in line with. And so you'll definitely see me and the guys and gals promoting it every chance we get, because good books are good books, and that's, I see a lot of good things coming.
Very cool. Now, we're just about at that time to go ahead and shut this down for today, but let me go ahead and ask you one last question is, if you've got anybody watching right now, if you're going to be watching later on that is a creator, what's the best piece of advice that you can possibly give them?
The best piece of advice is to always learn. Like, don't think that you got all the answers. If someone gives you a piece of advice and you may not agree with it, at least take it in and consider it. Always be ready to take in as much information as you can and learn from those things. Not just about your art or about your writing or those things, but also about the process of making the book, publishing the book, and distributing the book. All of those things. Yeah.
Very cool. That's good advice on there, because you always want to keep moving forward. You never want to get that momentum to go ahead and either stop or especially go backwards. You go backwards, you can't catch up quickly at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is excellent. Luke, I appreciate you being on here today. And as far as everyone that's out here right now and everyone's going to be watching later on, Hybrids, Sons of Gods, trade paperback, we are close to hitting that $5,000 mark. Basically, 10 more backers, like he said, jump on there, and this will be done. We can move over to Kickstarter, double up the efforts on there, and then we can hopefully, we're going to be pushing to that $8,000 mark pretty quickly, so we can start seeing these other stories be put into there.
Yep.
And whenever it's produced, so we can start seeing some other people's works that haven't been done yet, because like we already discussed, this will be Meredith's first, published work in a comic book, which is pretty spectacular, because anybody who collects firsts, there you go. That's one that you definitely want to have in your possession.
Yep.
So it's people's hopes and dreams. We can make it happen, and I know we have the power to do so. And I always say it on all of my shows, it takes one pebble to throw in the pond. You throw enough pebbles out there, you get the waves of change. I can see that happening with this book right here.
Certainly do. I like that. I like that a lot. I might steal it. I don't know. I definitely like that. Yeah, it's very possible, to make it all happen. And I like giving people the opportunity to play in my sandbox.
Yep.
It's a fun world and fun characters to work with and to explore. There's plenty of room for everyone to play. So I'm also looking forward to that. These young creators, new creators, all have an opportunity to put their hands to the Hybrids universe, and it is exciting. And the results so far have been magnificent. Yeah,
exactly. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down for today, but thank you very much for being here and be looking forward to next hell of a show will be on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I will have Sean Keenan will be here. So be looking
Nice.
out for that one. Until next time.